Hello, Uta here of Trans Widow, Uta Hagen YouTube channel, author of In the Curated Woods, True Tales from a Grass Widow, published by iUniverse in 2022, so it's been 3 years now. And of course my blog now is utahagen.substack.com. And I do want to recommend the video that I linked of Joy, another trans widow that Kelly Oliver Dougal has, interviewed on her channel. Very similar story. She found out about this even earlier than I did in the 1980s, whereas I got the shock of my life in 1992. Now I'm going to continue part 2 of Dana, trans widow number 74. And we were up to question number 4. What we found out is that she ended up being the sole breadwinner because of all of his drug and alcohol problems, and his, which caused him, I guess, to get fired from his jobs. And so it was quite a story. I do want you to know that she's moved on. She's with someone new for quite some time now. And it seems like the daughters that she was the stepmother of have grown up. And so just to continue with question number 4, did he put money in a secret account or other venue and spend it on wardrobe, makeup, electrolysis, etc.? Oh, and before I go into her answer, these are my new, appropriately named beeline dahlias, which are new to me this year and have started blooming recently, along with the dark red cornel. And you can see the bees hanging out in them. I'm not allergic to bee stings, and they generally don't bother me. They know that I grow their flowers. Anyway, so question 4, about the money, secret accounts, and so on. As the sole breadwinner for at least 15 years of our marriage, I often traveled full-time for work. Ray went back to school for an associate's degree in computer science, tech, at some point, and predatory credit card companies on campus signed him up for several credit cards without my knowledge. He used these credit cards to pay for his secret gender therapy visits and his stash of wigs, makeup, electrolysis, hormones, sexy underwear, and other clothing. He had his credit card bills sent to a post office box, so I never knew about them until he was about $65,000 in debt. I was giving him an allowance for groceries and so on, so he had been making minimum payments on the cards and transferring debt from one card to another. At the time, in that state's law, only Ray was responsible for the bankruptcy, so I remained financially unscathed. Thank goodness. He never had to pay a cent of the debt since he was unemployed and had no assets in his name. Really, just amazing. Did he wear your clothing or makeup? During the early years of our marriage, when I had discovered Ray's cross-dressing, I was most upset and angry after finding one of my favorite dresses so stretched out at the waist that it no longer fit me. I vaguely remember giving him makeup that I wasn't using or didn't want. This would have been after I had decided that his fetish was overall pretty harmless. Yeah, you got pulled down the rabbit hole and into what I call the closet behind the closet. Okay, did he suggest, coerce, or cajole you into so-called sex role play, where you have to use a strap-on or play the male part in bed? There was intermittent sex role play during the first years of our marriage and up until around 2001. He did want me to play the male part sometimes, but I didn't really understand what it all meant. Our sex life had been overall good for several years. He had some secret liaisons with other women and even with men while he was still using drugs. But upon my discovery of these relationships, he convinced me that they were all related to his drug use. My comment on that is you have to protect yourself and somehow, I mean, really, it was just such a complicated thing for Dana because there are these two stepdaughters of his, and the mother had lost custody with them because of her drug use. And so there she is with, these children that she has started to love. So, I cannot say to her, well, you should have left. Why didn't you leave? I can't say that. I was completely distraught and heartbroken to discover his cheating. I also found sissy, cross-dressing, transvestite pornography hidden around the house. He often blamed my frequent job-related travel for his unfaithfulness. I'm not going to say the words that I'm thinking about him right now, other than odious and despicable. We saw a marriage counselor for a couple of years after I found out about his cheating. I was especially devastated when I discovered he was having relationships with men. Again, he mostly blamed his drug use for this behavior. Sometime during the early 2000s, we took what I had hoped would be a romantic trip to a beautiful inn in Asheville, North Carolina. Ray surprised me with matching pink nightgowns for the two of them, which sickened me, but I hoped we would at least be able to have romance if the matching nightgowns helped him. Nope. He was on so much estrogen and testosterone blockers by that time, he was unable to get an erection. That was the last time he attempted any relations with me, but I hugged and cuddled with him as much as possible during the years when I was trying to keep the peace, fearing he might otherwise leave and take half of our assets and house and might also demand alimony. This sounds kind of incredible, but I find it completely believable. These guys are completely self-obsessed and they want to have everything. This will be the last question for this part 2. Did a therapist suggest any of the sex role stuff? She says, by the time I was aware of Ray's gender therapist and had attended some sessions, Ray's ability to perform sexually had pretty much been obliterated by the hormones and other drugs he was taking. Yeah, he probably was on some kind of SSRIs, Paxil, what are they called? Prozac, all those, which also can affect sexual abilities. We were sleeping separately. Once he stopped working, Ray tended to stay up until midnight or later and then sleep in late, like until noon. And this led me to regularly sleeping in our downstairs guest room while he stayed in the master bedroom. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. That's enough for now. And let's see if I can just give you a little bit more of a close-up of the bees in the dahlias. And behind me, you can see the pink anemone, which I think are of a variety called robustissimo. Yes. And, we have lots of other colorful spots in the garden also that I am continuing to weed and divide and spread the plants all around. Take care, share, like, and subscribe, and please do comment, even if you say, this is an unbelievable story, but somehow I believe it.